Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming. Every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we do go live here on Zoom, and we throw the recording up onto YouTube. So if you haven't had a chance yet, please make sure that you like and subscribe our channel. We're adding more content specifically just to YouTube as well. We love sharing as much as we can with everybody. So please take some time and do that. It really helps support our community here at Creative Finance Playbook. And without further ado, everybody, this is Abby.
Hello.
She is the behind the scenes. She has been part of the team. And honestly, she is like a rock star. And the fact that you're only how old?
20.
Okay, so she's 20. And I want to take it back a little bit. So I met Abby, I think it was 2020, 2021.
I think I was 2021, I think.
21, you were a senior, right?
Yeah, I was a senior, and it was the year after 2020 that we met.
So 2020, we all remember that, right? 3 years ago. And so 2021, I was really big into, and I still am, connecting with others on social media. So Instagram, I think we connected through some sort of community, and I ended up starting a free girls club, which I absolutely love, with accountability, and Abby joined. And when I learned that she was only 18 at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. 18 years old, it literally stopped me in my tracks, because at 18 years old, she was about to graduate high school, and kind of take us back, like what was going on in your world, and what was it about real estate that kind of made you, light a fire in you about it?
So I was in high school, and it was kind of the time period where you're kind of pushed. I was applying for colleges, and I didn't really have anything that I wanted to do. There was no degree that was firing me up. And I had finally just ended the sports team that I was on. I was like a little flag twirler for my band.
I don't even know if I knew that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
For 4 years, I was a flag twirler. Yeah.
Okay.
So very exciting, but that had just ended, and they were not pushing college, but I feel like that's just kind of the normal order of events that you go into when you're in high school, is high school, college. And I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right. So that had just ended. My sports team, I kind of had this break where it's I really got to figure out what I want to do. And I've always had an entrepreneurial type spirit to myself. So I was I want to open a business. I want to do this. I want to do that. I had a million ideas every single day. And I figured, if I'm not going to go to college, I want to figure out, I need to be able to be financially educated. I need to at least have my brain on that aspect, and then I can do whatever I want, if I'm not having that structure of college or whatever. So I ended up reading, as everyone reads when they're first starting. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that book, of course, changed my life. I gave that to my mom, though, and she's like, oh, this guy is so rude or whatever. But I was like, yeah, he is kind of rude. But that book he is if you read that. And she was a teacher. Have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
It was a long time ago.
What did you think as a teacher? Because he roasted teachers.
I don't know if I skimmed that far. I don't know. It's not one of the first books I ever read, so I should probably revisit, to be totally honest. So yeah, I'll go back.
Well, my mom was a teacher, and I handed her this book of this changed my life, and he roasted teachers in it. So she was like, Abby, what are you reading?
Just saying how teachers don't make any money?
No, how it's not a smart decision to go into, because you're not investing your money. And I don't know, he was kind of mean about it. We obviously need teachers and all that stuff, but
that's a different topic for a different day. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I read that book and a couple other books, and I was like, I don't think I even turned on to real estate then, but then I went to Bigger Pockets, and I was learning about real estate investing. And I think a lot of it was actually the community, because there's other ways of investing your money, but real estate, you really get that community in it. Mm-hmm. And so I was on Bigger Pockets, on all of the forums. There's actually a group for kids. So if any of you guys have kids that are into real estate investing or wanting to learn, there's a community called Sheiks Freaks.
How do you spell that?
It's SHEEKS Freaks, FR Freaks. Okay. And then he has a book, actually, for any of your kids, if you have them. It's called First to a Million. So if you want to just, if they're interested in financial stuff, give it to them. If they're not, give it to them. Also, if they're not and they don't want to read, just put it on their bookshelf, because one day they will they will just pick it up and read it when they're bored or whatever. So just place it there. They'll read it. Okay. So yeah, I joined that group and talking to a bunch of kids who are similar mindsets and typing me up. And that's kind of how I fell in love with real estate. And then I joined the Real Estate Invest Her meetups. And then that's how I met you. Or no, that's not how I met you. Well, Whitney West.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I
Okay.
had like a call with her, and we were in the same group, but it was like a little networking thing, but we never got in the same group together. So I actually never talked to her, but then I met Whitney West on like an online Zoom because I was just talking with her. She's like, you have to meet Jenn. And then that's how I saw that you had the Girls Club accountability. So I was like, I'm going to join so I can meet her. And then I did, and then got on a call with Joe because I was going to join their coaching program. But then I got on a call with Joe, and he's like, work with us. And I was like, okay.
Well, to take it back though, it was our first mentoring in the spring of 2021. And you hadn't graduated yet, I remember. And I thought to Joe, I'm like, he's not even going to realize that you're that young. And then when he did, you know, his main thing was graduate or high school. And then let's talk. And so literally, guys, like the week she's graduating, she's messaging us. She's like, okay, I'm graduating. I'm coming to work.
Yep.
So we put her to work as an acquisitionist, and we pay on commission and we pay in education. And this is really one of the, you know, few of the reasons I want to bring Abby on. One, she's already touched upon, which we can circle back to, is just, you know, how do you get your kids involved, right? How do we change financial literacy? How do we get them into the real estate world? How do we change their trajectory? And really thinking out of the box. You're here because you like creative financing. Will start really changing your life as far as, you know, outside of the box societal norms. You know, we homeschool, but there's different avenues. You know, not everybody has to go to college. It's great for some people, for some professions you need to, etc. But it's not the end all be all for some people. So I really love that you touched on that. And then, you know, second, you know, she came to us because she wanted to learn. And so we always feel like one of the best ways to learn is to do, right? So if you're sitting there and you're wondering, how do I grow a team? Who would want to work with me? There are eager people out there. You just have to network and really talk to more people, and just see, you know, who do you know in your circle already that would love to learn what you know, and how do you bring them aboard? So let's go back and kind of go through a little bit of the acquisition process.
Yeah, so I first started as an acquisitionist with them, and then I moved a little bit more to the tech side because that's just kind of what I fell in love with. But when I first started, we now have we work with only warm incoming leads now, so they're people that reach out to us. But when I first started, we were still doing like reach out. So when I first joined, I think Brittany was doing warm leads.
Yeah.
But me and a couple other girls who were the acquisitionists, we were still going on to all of the Facebook groups, reaching out that way, calling people on Zillow, calling people on PropStream. We got lots of closing calls that way too. I think one of my deals was actually a like a cold call or something like that. Like it wasn't a warm incoming lead.
Was it hard for you to cold call and to reach out?
In the beginning, it definitely was, but it was kind of just something when you're working with a team, like there's that accountability, like you just do it because you have to get calls to bring to the closers. So any way that you can bring accountability on yourselves you just kind of do it. So at first it's really hard talking with people on the phone, but then, I mean, once you follow the script, it's really just, and I think it's also like not putting so much pressure on yourself to like if you screw up, it's okay. So it was scary at first, but not too bad. I do like working with the warm leads.
Okay. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, warm leads are obviously a little, I don't want to say easier, but if people have a house to sell, then you kind of run them through the script, which is crazy. We talk about it all the time. We go to Zillow, people have a house for sale, and then they're like, why are you calling me? Yeah. Well, because you have a house for sale, but
and your number is right there.
Goodness gracious. So that was really fruitful, I think, as far as you being able to just learn with the team. We didn't throw you into the wolves saying like, here, I'd be like, go find your own deal and bring it to us, right? Like there was a step-by-step process, there was check-in points, there's a script to follow.
Trainings every week.
Yeah, really making sure that you're training your team. And I don't think you can really ever train too much. I would say that one of the biggest mistakes we've made is not recording enough. And it's something that we still forget to do. When you're in the business doing it, sometimes you forget to go back and hit record, but it's really important no matter what stage that you're in. If you're looking to grow a team and you want to get out of the one deal a year, one deal a month, or wherever you're at, and you want to scale, then really having a set training schedule. And for us, we started at bookending our week. It was Monday and Friday. And then over the summer, we were really virtual. We were cranking. We had daily check-ins in the morning and afternoon. So it just depends on what size your real estate business is at the time. but I would definitely really recommend that you have specific checkpoints, and really goes back to systems and processes, which is one of Abby's favorite things.
Yes.
So I want to dive a little bit into that because she is our tech manager. So some of you might be thinking, I'm looking for a CRM. I'm really looking for more automation. So if somebody doesn't have any of the bells and whistles, maybe they don't even have a website. What do you think from like a tech standpoint is like something that you really need to have?
So when I first started, and we were doing a lot of outreach, and we had a CRM, but that was taking in a lot of our incoming leads. When me and a couple other girls were doing like outreach to other people, and working with more cold leads, that's when I got onto this platform called Notion, because I wanted a really nice way pretty much to see all of my follow-ups that I needed to follow up with like that day, and an organized system for that. And I'm not a pen and paper girl. Like I want to see I want to see everything technologically streamlined. And so I got on this platform. It's called Notion. It is like my baby. Like I cannot hype Notion up enough. I love it so much. I'll talk about it forever. I'll start with what I built on it, and then I'll explain how Notion works for anyone who wants to use it. So I was working with them, and I was playing around with Notion, which I had used a little bit before. So I kind of knew how to use it already. And I kind of made almost like a CRM. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles as something that like high level or REI software will have. But basically, I made it so that I could track in all of my new leads. I could track where I got the leads from. I could track who I wanted to follow up with that day. I could see who I needed to follow up with for the rest of the week. I could put in notes for that person. I could track all of my KPIs, simple KPIs, but I could track it all.
And did you build this out so it's available yet or no?
Yes.
Okay. So if you want a copy, can we share that?
Yes.
I think you have before too.
Yeah, I've shared it once or twice in the Creative Finance Playbook group. So it's a template. You don't even have to build this one out. Yes.
And it's free, right?
Yes, it's completely free. Like I'm not charging or anything like that. It's just a template. So you'll have to get a Notion account. It's really easy. All you do is put in your email and password, and then that's it. And you'll click duplicate, and you'll get sorry, I'm doing a photo. And then you'll have a really easy way to track all of your leads, follow-ups, etc. Only thing that is like not as fun as something that had a CRM that has like all of the bells and whistles is that you're not going to be able to send out like email campaigns to this person or automate messages. We send out a follow-up message to people every 30 days, and that's automated through high-level REI software. So you're not going to get that with Notion, but when you're first starting out, you do not need that.
Right. Because if you're pen and paper, like how we started, because, we're that old, it was just an accordion folder of day 1 through 31. And you would just move that paper into whatever day it was. So on day 13, I'm pulling out John. I'm going to call him because in 30 days. And you're saying that this is eliminating all of the paper and the pen, and you're just taking a few minutes and typing into a free program.
Yeah.
And the template is pretty simple, I would say.
Yeah, the template is, I think it's pretty self-explanatory too, but I do have a YouTube video that you can watch where it like walks you through like how to use it. So yeah, you can use that template. And then I'm also obsessed with, I have to get this out, but I have like a task management system too. And like a time capsule thing on Notion. So you can it's like Excel, except I think it's much more beautiful, and it works like a Google Docs, but like an Excel spreadsheet. So
and I loved it too, because there was times where as a virtual team, I was wanting to pull my hair out, because back in the day, Joe and I would have a whiteboard. And so I was like, Abby, I need a virtual whiteboard. I need to see if my deal is still, being dispoed, or is it at the attorney's? Am I looking for a rent to own buyer? Like where in the process, because I'm a visual person too. And you were able to do that even on there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah, you can do pretty much anything. I should make a template for our transaction log. We haven't really used that since we're more in person now.
Yeah. So if you have any tech questions or issues that you have, or, I'm struggling here, or how do I automate that? Like drop them in the chat. We'd love to be able to answer those for you. So from Notion, what would you say, like, if that's maybe not enough, like you kind of feel like at what point you outgrow Notion and you really do need a CRM, and maybe explain a little bit like what CRM stands for and what it means if we have some newer investors in the room.
Yeah. So once you get to Notion is really great for just about everything until you get to the point where you're having so many deals. I would say you need to have like a couple deals before you would really need to spend money, like, especially since it's money per month. Once you start growing and you have deals under your belt, that's kind of the point when you would want to move into a more professional CRM, which is customer relation management, I believe is what it stands for. I usually just say CRM. I had to think about that for a second.
Yeah, no.
And then that at that point, the reason that those CRMs are going to be better than Notion is because you're going to be able to automate a lot more things, sending out campaigns every single month where you're not having to do any of the work. You can text right in a CRM. So like with Notion, you're still going to have to use your own phone and text them and then update on the CRM. Whereas if you just have something one-on-one, you're going to be able to text directly in there. You can call directly on there. It's going to record all of your phone calls. It's going to give you a lot more reporting things, so you can track a lot more metrics that way. You have like a whole reporting dashboard. So it will eventually, once you start building a team and getting a lot more deals under your belt, moving to a CRM, it would make more sense than Notion for sure.
Yeah. So I would say like the highlight of a CRM too, even though in Notion, everybody could get into it, the CRM was a little more user friendly, I think, when you have multiple users.
For sure.
As far as that goes. So can you explain a little bit more, again, if we have some newer people in the room, if you're building out a campaign, like what does that even mean? Like in the basic terms of like, what does a campaign do? Because it almost sounds kind of scary, honestly. Like when I was new to it all, I was like, campaign, like what is this doing?
Yeah. So a campaign, like for example, we have a follow-up campaign that we send out to people, and it's just going to be whatever you want to like nurture people with. For like, we have a nurturing campaign before the follow-up message where you just say a couple things about our business, kind of nurture them if they're not responding to us.
So it's not responding sellers though, like a seller reaches out and they have a house for sale, but now they're just not really giving us any information.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And you can pick when to send out campaigns too. So if somebody is responding, and let me try and think about that. Like sometimes we have different opportunities where like seller said no to a phone call or said no to a closing call. So we can set up a campaign that will send them messages trying to follow up with them every 2 weeks. Or we have a 30-day campaign where it follows up with them every 30 days. If somebody says something specific to terms or whatever, then we can set up a campaign specific to what they said. So it really automates a lot of things where we can just click, instead of going through typing a million things, trying to keep up with that person, you can just put them in a campaign and then it's going to do all of that for you. And once they reach out, then obviously it's going to stop that campaign. So if they respond to a message following up with them about how they said no to terms, but now they want terms, then it's going to stop that. And then you can have it notify people that like, hey, this person reached back out, follow up with them now in person rather than automation.
Right. And I think that's key too, because it, like you said, especially if you're paying for sponsored ads or you're paying for leads in general, like you don't want them to just go into the abyss, because now truly is the time. I mean, follow-up's always important, but I think in the next like 3 to 6 to 8 months, like this is going to be a game changer as far as those sellers who've said no to terms, or they're still hoping that the market's going to come back to life and they'll be able to list it and to get their full asking price in cash, but that's just not the case right now. As the market's truly shifting, and we've all kind of seen that. So are there any campaigns you would, wordings or, anything that we can share that's in ours that you've seen some success with?
I think it's the most success we get is with, I forget what the exact message is, but it's just that follow-up sequence that we have that sends out every 30 days, and it like blows up our CRM and people end up responding. I can try and see if I can find that exact message
Yeah, because I think sometimes it's what you're saying, and also, like you said, the consistency of the every 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's like blasting them every week, but it's really going out every 30 days, you're thinking?
Yeah, every 30 days it comes out to people who haven't been responsive within 30 days. So you can set it exactly, like it's not going to everyone. Some people we're talking to them currently, so it wouldn't make sense for a campaign to send out to them. I don't think I'll be able to find the message on my phone, but I can send it to you guys.
We can share it in the group later, that's for sure. All right, Kat is saying, I have a hard time remembering to text warm leads that have not responded or went cold.
You can, with a CRM system, like you can have it filtered with high level. What we do is we can set filters. And I think I just helped Lexi with this today, where you can filter it so that people that you haven't talked to who are warm. So if they're in a specific stage, like for example, you would have like a warm lead stage, and then you would just click through those people and message them. So it keeps them in that specific opportunity for you. But even in Notion, Kat, you should be able to, if you like organize it, which it's in my YouTube video, but you can just tag them as warm lead, and then you can just message those people. So it really organizes everything for you. If you have like a specific CRM, that like high level, you'd be able to automate that message. So you wouldn't even have to think about that. But
yeah, and I think that I always try to really share that, though. It's like you don't need all of the things when you're first starting. And I think that it's really easy to be sold on all of the programs and everything out there. And there's certainly value in it if you're going to use it. But if you're just starting out and you're looking to get your first deal, like how to make it simple is to just, start with pen and paper if that's your thing, because I know it was mine back in the day. But if it's not, then go Abby style and use that Excel style sheet of the Notion, which we'll share again in our group. So
yeah,
some other trainings that we've done were with our VAs, and I know that was a hot question this past week in this group of ours, was how do you find virtual assistants, how do you train them, how do you pay them? So maybe we'll do a separate podcast interview or something on that. But you were really integral in training our VAs. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that program that we use. And I know there's similar ones out there that do the similar things, but we use Trainual.
Yeah, we use Trainual.
And how did that work? And how is that effective? Because we hired 2 Philippine women, and one was doing our overnight and one was doing during the day. So they have 12-hour shifts. And so Abby was attempting her very best to meet them both at a good time. And so everybody was on the same page, and not like go cuckoo, right? Because it's like you're trying to train 2 people who are totally new to this real estate thing, and they were really eager. And I highly recommend working with VAs because, if you find the right one, like it's a total game changer in your business and you're truly changing their lives. So Trainual.
Yeah. So looking back, I feel like we probably at that point, maybe Trainual is one of those like bells and whistles things where we didn't quite need it at that point. And that's more when you have like a lot of different departments where we do, but I don't think we necessarily needed it at that point. But anyways, Trainual, what we did with training the VAs is that we have process maps, and we did that with Sharper Solutions, and then we worked on it ourselves as well. So there's a platform called Lucid Chart, or Whimsical, which you can use for free up to a certain point. Then it's going to charge you, so it'll still get you. But there's a program called Lucid Chart, and we process map all of our departments. And then what we did is we broke down each little process into trainings. So that's what we did with the VAs. We looked at the entire virtual assistant process, what they need to do from start to finish before they would pass it off to a lead manager. And then you take those little boxes and then you like dive deep into it. So like, this is the main thing that you need to do. And then it's peanut butter jelly style of like exact steps, like how to log on to the CRM, what exactly to say, how to say it, like everything, how to click this campaign. And it's really just breaking it down step by step by step by step. And then we actually use just Google Docs. So that's what I was saying, like Trainual at that point, I don't know if we necessarily needed it.
But it was good for the quizzes. I like
it
that.
Was good for the quizzes.
So you would make them like questions based on our script, and it would quiz them to see
Yeah.
if they were truly ready to start talking to sellers.
That's true. It might have made it worth it just for the quizzes.
I think that was what Joe and I really loved about it, was because you didn't have to sit there, because back in the day, we would sit there and role play back and forth. And then we realized if we're just messaging through Facebook or our CRM or what have you, then that's not, you know, it's not realistic to just be talking back and forth role playing if these VAs were never getting on the phone. We never have our VAs who are running our opening script get on a phone call. They're simply asking a series of questions via computer, or, you know, it's coming through the seller's phone. And so I think the quiz was really, really helpful. So yeah, lucid chart.
I did not spell that right.
That's okay. Lucid chart is one of those things where when I first saw it, it's almost like a graphic organizer back in school, where you have like circles and bubbles and squares, arrows and all the craziness, but it's taking you through your entire process, so that if you do have change of employees, or you're bringing someone new on, then they can kind of see how things are flowing in your business. And then also you can go back and see like, if you're not getting deals, like where's the problem, where's the bottleneck? So lucid chart is really good for that. We might have to have you back on here now that I'm thinking about that, because I don't have any of that ready to share. But if you guys are interested, I'm sure Abby would set up a time and be able to meet with you. But all of that was super helpful. And it's like, we didn't realize how much we really needed a tech manager, and the role kind of emerged, you know, from working with Sharper Solutions. We really found how to tap into someone's, you know, true ability and find out what they do best. And Abby, although she's an amazing acquisitionist, and we kind of get a little mad from time to time that she doesn't hop on those phone calls anymore. No, just kidding. You know, she loves tech, and you can see that. And she's been outside on the back deck all day, just teching away here.
Yeah,
creating all the things technology based, but it does simplify things. And it's almost like, sorry about that, it's a set it and forget it type of thing, where if you have some systems in place, we're never really swapping things out a ton. But there are times, like you said, Trainual, maybe there's a better version. I think Mike and Jay
that's what I was thinking, is that
they had a
free versions out there, that whereas Trainual, I think it was just ridiculous. That's why I don't necessarily want you guys to go out there and like buy Trainual right now, just because I think it was really expensive, right?
It might have been a little bit more, but
they had the tests. So, and I don't,
it's something to definitely look into if you need it. Like, we needed them to be trained properly and quickly and on a timely manner, because again, I didn't want you up at like 2 a.m. trying to help someone over there. So.
But we also just use Trainual was great for the tests, but when you take those process maps, we actually just have like everything step by step written out on just like a Google Docs. And that's what they use every day, is their like step by steps SOPs, or standard operating procedures. So they have everything written down, where they're not texting me 24/7 saying, hey, what's the answer to this? Because when they have a question, then I'm going to go to their little SOP, and then I type in the answer, and then they never have to ask me again, or they shouldn't ask me again.
SOPs, let's touch on that. It's definitely like, it's almost like a swear word to me, to be quite honest, because they're like, you either love them or you hate them. I'd love for you to drop in the chat below, you know, are you team SOP? Like, are you all about them? Do you love making them, or is it like nails on a chalkboard? Because I feel like it's either or. And I've met some fantastic women and men, but some of my closest friends, like, I love SOPs, or the queen of it. Like, I joke around. And for me, I'm more of just like, I go at it and I just start doing it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I really should document the process, which is what I would recommend you doing. So when we had Jay on here, I was teasing her a little bit. She's amazing at those. So if you haven't started documenting your processes, how should one start? So SOPs, standard operating procedures.
Yep.
So where do you even begin with those?
The whole point of standard operating procedures is so that you never have to ask the same question again. So once you figure it out, you don't have to go back to that point. So once you do figure it out, you can keep growing. And when you're able to train people, you know exactly how to train them. And to start, what I would do is, honestly, I would process map everything that you're doing in your business on Lucid Chart or Whimsical. There actually might be I think there's a free trial on Lucid Chart, but on Whimsical, I know that there's a free plan with it, but eventually they're going to charge you. And
everybody does that.
But I would process map everything that you do in your business. And then once you finish that, then document each little block that you have, or each square. And then write down everything that you do in that like little block. So if it says talk to seller, like what does that actually mean? Like what is the script? And then what are the rebuttals? And you break down every single step that you do. Just even on a Google Docs is fine. Like doesn't have to be anything too crazy or fancy, but
I know we've thrown out like a ton of crazy terms. I almost feel like we need like a tech dictionary. We got CRM, we got Trainual, we got SOP. We haven't even gotten to my favorite. So again, I've got a million little notebooks laying around the house. My husband probably thinks I'm crazy. I've got binders, I've got multiple journals, but there is a new love in my life, and it is called Asana.
yes, Asana.
So Asana was presented again by the Sharper Solution team that we met with Gary and Susan just wowed me in so many ways. And so she shared her life that was on this Asana board. So Asana, let's take it through it. I know there's like a couple different types out there, but what is it? What is an Asana?
It's like a task management system pretty much, and it can rule your life if you organize it well. And basically you can make different boards for different things. So we have a board for VAs, we have a board for tech. So I have my own board. We have a board for our courses that we make, and you can just categorize all of the different tasks that you need. You can set goals for yourself. And I think a lot of business owners end up using Asana because it's so well at managing different projects that you're working on. Seeing what tasks have been completed, what tasks haven't been. You can set due dates for yourself. And then you can see, oh, looks like I'm behind on this task or not behind on this task. And you can take notes right in the corner, upload documents.
Take notes in the corner, what's that?
Not corner, on the side. You know, when you click on a box and you take little notes.
You might have to show me that. I don't know.
You got it though. You've written in them before.
Okay. All right. Definitely
just the details section.
Okay, I'll have to take a double check because I'm like still learning, guys. And that's the thing, like if you're always a student, you're willing to grow and admit like I don't know everything, then there's always room for improvement. So I think Asana changed, my outlook on having a virtual team, especially use it for my VA and like for Abby too. Like I ended up creating her own board because there's constantly questions between our real estate, and then also she is a huge help. We haven't even gotten to that part yet, behind the Creative Finance Playbook with our entire course on Kajabi. But with Asana, I think it's really helpful too, because like you said, it tasks you and it emails you, and then it's there, and it doesn't disappear as long as you save it.
Yeah.
And so Asana, we were just talking earlier, Joe really should get on Asana. We haven't converted him yet. Again, he's a, what does Ron call them? Thinker, not a thinker brain, reptile brain. So he just goes on action, right? Action taking. So, but the Asana does help so much in keeping you organized, because you can, guys, I have a meal plan on my Asana board. So I was showing her like where I just link every meal that I'm making for the week, and I can pull it up before, okay, it's Tuesday, what am I making? Oh yeah, click on that and I start making my dinner. So you can use it in your normal everyday life to stay organized, and you're not looking for the paper that you might have left at the office or got left someplace else. And so Asana, you can use it for VAs. I love it. So I'll literally make a column for my VA, Mary, she's my personal assistant, and I'll put in there, copy and paste the exact wording I want her to use when making a reel for our Instagram, or maybe she's doing some copy for our Gen Buys page. And I just tell her exactly what to do step by step. And then my secret to SOPs is like, I literally said, hey, Mary, when you're done with this, can you just type up everything you just did for me? And she did. And who better could do it than her? Because she was the one that just did it. So that's another little trick up my sleeve as far as getting your SOPs done, is have the person who just did the task create it for you and then save it.
Asana is free, right?
I
think that there's a payment plan.
There is a payment plan, but it came with when we paid the Harper's for Sharper Solution, we were allowed to like sync in with theirs. So I think, but it's worth it, whatever it is, if you're going to use it and keep your life organized. But there's also Monday.com. And and I know Pat Notion was using another one. What is it?
Notion, but you have to build it. You have to build it.
No, you gotta build that.
I will build it for you guys and I'll send it.
All right. Well, I saw Joe hopped in here. Hey.
What up?
So I didn't dive too much into her deal making. I don't know if you want to kind of go back to kind of that topic a little bit. We've just been talking a lot about tech base. Asana is free until you want to use fancier features. That sounds about right.
Yeah,
most apps are tech-based programs, they get you until you're like, oh, I really need that.
Yeah, they get you hooked in the beginning, find out how awesome it is,
Mhm.
and you're like, ooh, I wanted to do more stuff. So it's definitely worth it. And I could see the communication, how you could give yourself tasks and things like that. I'm usually the one just running around like just talking to a seller. So pardon me, I'm late. I was trying to make a deal.
Woohoo.
And that's really my favorite part of the business. And speaking of deals, is Abby, who she came to us. I don't know if you've got into her history or story,
Mhm.
but I mean, high school student, and joined our team, called us, said, hey, I'm graduating next week. I want to start Monday, and did. And when she came on board, she had a few things going for her. She had a desire to be successful. She had to determine, because when I talked to her, I said, Abby, what are you going to do after school, high school? She's like, I'm going to be a real estate investor. I said, I know, but like, are you going to have like do other things too? She's like, no, I'm going to be a real estate investor. And I was like, bravo, definite of purpose, great attitude, extremely coachable, all the things that you look for. So she comes to work, she's coachable, good attitude, determined. And so I think when you closed your first deal, you were just turned 19.
Yeah, I got it under contract when I was 18 and then it closed, I think like January
And you were a
or
December
when I
baby.
was 19. Yeah.
So it was just after your 19th birthday. Um, and really what that boils down to is and this is how she kind of migrated to her position now. She's very big on the process, and she sticks to the process so well that she helped us define and write all of ours to her. Now we're like, okay, like get your butt in that seat, because A, she loves it and really grew on her. And then B, she's really darn good at it too, which we also love. So we definitely miss her talking to sellers, but we also have folks that we have trained to do that, and they're doing a great job too. So as much as we miss Abby on that end of it, the route to her success was she got into a process that worked and stuck to it. She didn't try to reinvent the wheel. She didn't try to piecemeal it together. She got the education because why? She sat with us every single day, just about every single day. So what does coaching matter? I don't know. How many of us have closed our first real estate deal a month after our 19th birthday? I see one person here, and she's sitting next to my wife, right? And maybe there's some of you in here too. And if you did, that's sweet. That's awesome. But many times that's not the case. So since then, you've done a handful more deals before you're even 20, while you were still 19 years old.
Yeah.
So once again, she walked into a system that was working. And this is why a lot of folks love a franchise. Why do you love a franchise? Is because I don't have to go reinvent the wheel. I might need some time and money, but I could buy a McDonald's franchise and they give you the recipe for success. They give you all the training, all the education. They even give you the cool stuff to wear, guys. So they're giving you the full setup on how to be successful under a program that's been successful for decades now, right? So this is why a lot of folks love franchises. And franchising, if you think about it, you're buying the name brand. So that's awesome. But you're also buying all the coaching behind it, because you could have a name brand and it could go fall to crap if you don't know what you're doing. So it's the coaching behind the name brand. It's those two things together, which also makes it successful. So I don't have a name brand like McDonald's, but we have a system that works. And this system's been taught to us by other investors who've been doing this for decades too. So it's nothing like we reinvented. We just got the lessons of what worked and repeated it, right? We might have changed some things here or there to adapt to newer times, newer technologies, because you don't want to be in the Flintstones still pedaling your car to work with your feet, right? So we learn, we adapt to new technologies, and this is things that we implement in our business. I think that's part of the success why Abby, having a great attitude, willing to learn. I'll tell you what, homegirl could make a deal. I'm telling you, if I got her on acquisition, she would have a deal this week, because she's keen on sticking to the process, dialed into what's going on. And I know she comes to work, right? She does not take excuses, which are another thing we like. If there's stuff I got to do, she's like, Joe, did you do this yet? Like, she's on it, which I like. I like that accountability.
Yeah. And for you too, would you say like the life by design? I mean, at 19, 20 years old, you were able to live life on your terms. Like you're
Yes.
on your way to a coffee shop to go get some work done. You're able to travel.
Yep. It's beautiful.
You didn't even allow yourself to walk into an institution of like, this is the, 9 o'clock check-in and
Yep.
bell rings at 5 and you're out.
Yep.
I mean, that's a huge accomplishment if you think about it.
Thank you.
It really is.
It really is.
That was huge for me. I wanted to make sure that everything that I do in life is absolutely on my terms. And I wanted to create my own life and do the things that I'm passionate about and not let myself get pushed into directions that I don't want to go. So you guys have really allowed me to do that. I'm like so grateful to be working with you guys.
Well, we're really grateful for you.
Not only that, you're an inspiration to us because you figured out something at 18, 19 years old that took me twice your age to figure out, and I'm still trying to work on it as good as you do. Okay, like as you do, like you're able to go do the things, right? And we love the fact we're just starting to get to that point too, where we want to go do the things, and we recognize that living life by your own design has been huge. Because I had the corporate job, right? Jen was a teacher for a long time, right? I had to go to a lot of schooling and masters and spend a lot of money on education, do all that. And then we have the JOBs, which I always call just over broke.
Well, I think a lot of people here, and some people love their W-2s, but if there's a little bit more of you that wants to get out of it, then, it's just spending that extra time and devoting and knowing it's possible, whether you're 19 or you're 45, in between or older, it's totally possible. So I wanted to get in a little bit, because I don't even think I've really talked to you too much about it, but I know my husband. Please, let's talk about AI. Where do you see this going, especially with real estate, the whole chat GPT? I know my husband could talk for hours and hours and hours about this. He is like consuming all he can on it because he sees a big future. But I just want to hear your take, and then, you and Joe can kind of go.
I am also absolutely in love with artificial intelligence. Like I love anything that automates things so that we can then grow and like learn more and do like better and bigger and more efficient things. I'm obsessed with. And I heard this quote that I think Gary Vee said it, that like, I know artificial intelligence scares a lot of people because it's like, my job is being taken or whatever. But like, I think he made the metaphor that AI is like the tractor or whatever. People used to work on the farms. That is all they used to do. And then the tractor came, and then everyone was like, what the heck's, all of our jobs are going to be out. We don't have any jobs anymore. But then you learn how to do bigger and better things. And that's what AI or any sort of automation is going to do for you. So I am also obsessed with AI. I love everything. I want to learn all about it. I want to learn how to leverage it. Right now, we're actually talking with the person who has our CRM in automating our script for us. So instead of having a virtual assistant, we're going to have the AI go through the entire script. It'll know all the rebuttals. It'll know like, oh, this person said this. Well, then now I need to say this. Whereas if we had like a campaign or something, it'll probably get screwed up because seller says something weird, and then it just keeps going in a campaign that doesn't make sense anymore. But with AI, it'll know all of that stuff. So yeah, I see a big future with AI and real estate, and I think it's definitely something to take advantage of rather than be scared of.
Well, and I think it's going to be the future. So it's either you have to grasp it or you're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah.
And the thing about the AI, which I like, because there's things like ManyChat where there's, automated chats, but a seller or somebody or a buyer, depending on what you're talking to, could ask a question. It could really throw that off, and then it could cause disaster. Right.
Yep.
So the benefit that I really love is that with AI, it could have an intelligent conversation with a seller or a buyer without making it look like you are. So today I was going to publish it, but if all of y'all men in here haven't yet, I showed it to my wife so she knows, but I said, write a Valentine's Day letter to my wife, Jen, expressing how much I love her and how important she is to me, or something very basic. And it created this, this letter that was just fantastic. Within like 20 seconds, that would took me forever, right? And it still wouldn't have been that good. And all I had to do was write love Joe in the bottom. And so, but she knew it. I did it right in front of her. But this is the fun thing about it. So it's not just for writing a love letter, although it's great. So if you guys haven't done it yet, go do your wife the love letter. You will look like dynamite. But more importantly, how can you integrate this in your business? I did a YouTube video where within 90 seconds, I could show you, and I did it in under 90 seconds, how to build your buyers list out of Facebook groups for free using AI in under 90 seconds. So when everybody's looking for buyers or things like that, I walked you right through the process. This would have taken a VA hours. It would have cost us money to do that. So, and now that I could have a computer do that in under 90 seconds, which would have taken a VA an hour to do, that's fantastic. So the VA is not going to lose their job, but I could have them do other tasks now that are more important for them to do. So it's not going to be, and it can take away possibly some jobs, and I'm sure it's going to, but I think it's also going to create a lot more new opportunities too. So if you don't embrace technology, I was always learned that you are going to be history. So stick to that. But if you haven't checked out that video, Creative Finance Playbook on our YouTube channel, it's on there, guys. If you want to watch a quick video on how to pull buyers lists off any YouTube group, any Facebook group for free, how it categorize it for you, you just now copy and paste that. You could put it into an Excel. You could pop it into whatever you want within minutes. It could do it all for you. So the biggest thing I've learned about AI right now, because I'm a big tech geek, I love this stuff, really boils down to being super descriptive of telling exactly what you want. And the more descriptive you could get, the better your response is going to be. I was messing today with one that could generate artwork. There's a couple other cool ones that I haven't even had a chance to show you yet, Abby. I showed Jen, where like I have my camera right here. There's one that I could be down here reading my notes if I had notes in front of me, but the AI still pops my eyes up here that makes it look like I'm looking into the camera.
That's wild.
When I'm looking down here reading my notes, and it makes you guys think I'm talking into the camera, which I'm not, because I'm terrible. I never look at the camera. I'm looking at Abby and Jen's smiling faces right now. I don't look at the camera. I look at you guys smiling. I look at whoever's live on here smiling. That's just what I look at. I never look at the camera. So a person like me could really benefit from that because my eyeballs are never connecting like this.
Yeah.
Right. But it makes it look like
so much cheating. Can you imagine all the virtual like schools?
No.
Oh yeah, you could be probably almost halfway sleeping
You
to
could
your
be
Zoom meeting.
sleeping. Your eyes
Yeah.
like, I'm awake.
You could,
So
you have to be there for it, or is it like,
I think it's happening like at the time.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, it's all live. So like right now, if I'm here and I'm looking down at my notes and I'm
Doesn't look
looking
creepy.
at all of you, recording it, my eyes look up here automatically. It's the craziest thing. So there's so many things. So guys, just go on YouTube. There's a lot out there right now. So if you haven't looked that up yet, good luck getting an account. It's hard. Just keep trying. But you can get on there. I've been on there now for weeks and I absolutely love it. So technology, I think, is big. Embrace it. Same thing goes. How can we have things in our business help us with automation? I think this is one of the things that Abby really spends a lot of time working on, is how to take humans out of things, because we're humans, right? And humans are not always predictable. But how can we also clean up the process and give us humans more time to do the things we want to do and let technology help us? So we've definitely tinkered with a lot of cool stuff because I think we're all techie people. But this new chat thing has been a game changer, and everybody's, it just started in November. So if you haven't heard much about it, literally just dropped November of 2022. So it's,
and it's not too late, right? I mean, I was a little skittish and I still am like, what is this thing? I'm not 100% totally bought in like Joe and Abby, because I'm a little more like, wait, what is this? I see it growing. I see it, the reason behind it. I'm embracing it, but I'm definitely a little more cautious, and I think that's okay. Just maybe immerse yourself in it more to become more familiar and be open-minded. I know that there's courses, Kat, not to throw you, I don't know if you're still listening. You said there's like people kind of already giving some things, some advice, some education out there. Are there different websites you could throw in the chat if you are curious to learn more, just to help those of us who are a little on the fence? But yeah, AI is definitely the way of the future. And then
there's a few people on YouTube you could watch too. There's a lot of it out there right now.
Do you have anybody you would recommend, or?
Yeah, I'll pull them up right now.
Okay, cool. And then I was going to ask Abby, if you open your phone, like what are like the top tech apps that you would say you use in business?
Oh, in business, probably like the simple things like Google Drive, Google Chat, our high level CRM, and then for Notion. Those are like, I think, the core apps that I use.
Gotcha. Okay. Billie Jean, that was the AI course. Thank you, Kat. Google Drive, you want to share how we use that? Because I think that was really the glue that kept everybody on the same page. So can you just explain real quick how we added like an access to an email and how we formatted from the transaction coordinator, you kind of orchestrating all of it. We had the closer, we had an acquisitionist, we have a dispositionist. How did everybody virtually use Google Drive?
So we made different folders for each department. So in Google Drive, like if you're an acquisitionist, you're going to go to the acquisitionist folder, and we just have all of the scripts that they'll need in that folder. They'll have all of the trainings that they need, like all the step-by-step instructions or the SOPs. We have a folder for our virtual assistants. So everyone goes to their exact folder that they need, and all of the resources that they need are going to be right in there. And then we also have our deal folders in there. So we'll have a folder for deals. And then we just put all the information that anyone is going to ever need for that deal, whether the mortgage statement or anything, it gets put into its own folder in Google Drive. So it just keeps everyone organized. Everyone knows where to go and where to find information.
And with that, you guys had helped create an email that the acquisitionist and you, for that matter, would like log into, right? Jenn buys.
Yeah, Jenn buys acquisition. Yeah, at gmail.com. And that's just a Gmail that everyone can log on to. So if we get emails from a seller or whatever it may be, everyone has access to it.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how helpful that was to have everything done, so that our transaction coordinator, who is coming on in a few weeks, so I'm super excited to have her on. She'll be able to explain a little bit more of her process, but she could upload or somebody made sure it was in there, it was the seller's mortgage statement. So when I go in and I set up payments to take over those payments, because we bought the house on a rep mortgage, and now I'm responsible for making those payments monthly, everything is all in there virtually. So gone are the days of my humongous vanilla folder stacks in the office, which again, coming from that mindset, that's just how I was. And I am a little older, I guess. But that's what worked for us. But now we have this ability to put everything on a drive, and it's safe there, you'd say?
Oh yeah, for sure.
With Google.
Yeah.
And then same thing with Dispo. He's able to log in and access any information that he needs, pictures of the property to go and share with potential tenant buyers or buyers in general, if it's a different kind of deal. So
yeah.
Google Drive, really, I was wowed. I didn't know it could do all of that until you guys really opened up this huge.
I think that's what Tiffany High uses too, to like organize everything in their business. Things like Google Drive. That's how they shared everything with us too.
Right. And that was just really helpful.
Yeah.
Because it really is like a big manila folder.
Yeah.
Like a deal folder.
It is.
It's just
so everyone can access.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about trainings, guys. Like you may not take 100% of everything you walk away from, like whatever training you go and pay for, but man, the little bit that you do take and you implement, it really is game changing. So
yeah, definitely
pay for the education. I can't stress that enough.
And all of these processes too that I'm working on, we're all working on, and we're like all of that's going into the Creative Finance Playbook program. So like everything that we have on our team, like all of that education is now being released to the public. So I'm just saying that you should go get it if you really want to scale your business.
And not for nothing, we paid a lot of money to learn how to do all of this, y'all. Like you get it for such a bargain compared to what we paid for it.
I mean, literally like over 20 years of experience, and then it's still constantly being updated. So I think that's really important too. It's not something that was made 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It used to work. It's changing with the times.
Well, yeah, and it's all currently going on. And that's why we kind of got on the task of like, how do we integrate all of the old school classic stuff that's worked so well and integrate that into a new modern technology, because this is the future. And so once again, we've learned a lot about how to set up the right processes and things like that. So you guys don't have to go spend a fortune doing it. All the things that we learn. And Jenn and I have a very big abundance mindset. So anything that we go to, we bring our team with us. Right? Because our thought process is, well, geez, if her and I are taking notes, and then we could bring Abby there, there's now 3 of us taking notes. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be even better because we're all going to pick up certain different things. And I know they're probably better note takers than I am. I'm just sitting there listening. So it's really great to have that. And then also implementing that into your business too. So it's not just getting the education, but it's actually putting it down putting it down on paper, putting down whatever you're gonna and doing it. And that's the key.
And you just brought up a good point. I don't know if we ever really highlight that enough, but we welcome anyone on your team. So like, just like when we join masterminds, you know, we're allowed to bring Abby as our tech manager, knowing that like she's going to help us grow our business because we're part of the family mastermind. But as part of the Creative Finance Playbook, if you have an acquisitionist who's been there for a while and that's your right-hand man or woman, or you have a tech manager, you know, we welcome that because again, that abundance mindset that you shouldn't be trying to do all of this on your own because you will go crazy. And you don't need to do it all on your own. You need to start leaning on other people and processes and keeping things simple, but organized in whatever manner that's going to be for you. So, and I'm kind of turning on the spot here, Abby, but have you thought about maybe like offering some tech sessions or anything in the future?
I might. I haven't given that too much thought. But I'd definitely be open to that.
Yeah.
Well, we just like you so much. We like to keep you all to ourselves.
I know. Well, we were talking about being abundant, babe. So
I was just teasing, but I could see why we like to keep her. She's awesome. But no, seriously, when Jen and I were talking about this not too long ago, because once again, spending a little bit of time with Abby really could help you square away and kind of bridge some of the gaps that you might be having of, well, when this happens, what do I do next? Or things like that. So having somebody who's spent time in the business doing deals, spent time in the business learning in-depth processes and how to really lay them down and make them work, and then have somebody check up on you to make sure you're doing it. Abby's fantastic. Right? So at 20 years old, girl's got a wealth of information already. So this is the key. So once again, part of when we sign up for a mastermind, before we say yes, I'm always asking, am I allowed to bring my team with me? Because if I can't bring my team with me, I'm going to have to think about that, right? Because I know they're a big part of what we do, and we're big on team. So when we were at training a couple weeks ago in Tampa for the Ron the Grand thing, like I brought our acquisitionist with us. And she was there for 4 days, nonstop, taking notes every single day. Because my thing was, I've seen this a million times. I've heard it a million times. I love going to see everybody and doing things like that. But it's also to bring the team to help get them up to speed too. And it's the same thing that we have that abundance mindset because I know it pays back. So the education that we share with our team, once again, we love to help you guys with the same stuff. And Abby is a wealth of information. So we need to talk to you more about that, Abby. Because you're like this hidden secret. I'm going to tell you another secret about Abby you don't know. I actually have a couple.
Okay, here we go.
One, she is a total coffee lover, which if you don't know, most of our meetings, Abby is now here in Florida with us for a little bit, but she's usually back home at a coffee shop during our meeting. Abby is there's nobody bigger Taylor Swift fan in the world than Abby, except for probably Taylor Swift herself, right? So if there's a Taylor Swift song that you want her to sing, she's glad to do it for you.
Very happy to do that. Right, we can turn this into karaoke if we want.
Yeah. And I would say the other thing about Abby, she's always really, really been, it's no secret, she already kind of spilled the beans on it, but she's always been big on like, I want to kind of work with you, but I also want to not be stuck in that square box of that 9-to-5 lifestyle. And so at a very young age, she seems to have conquered that very well to where now most folks, they're at work. Her job's at a coffee shop with her laptop, drinking. What's your favorite drink? What drink are you on right now?
The drink that I'm currently getting right now is a pistachio cream cold brew.
Oh, you're getting it. So Abby's a bad influence for us because she'll tell us these fantastic drinks and we go try them and then they're fantastic, right? And then the people at Starbucks like, oh, Joe and Jen, you're back. It's not good when they know you personally like that. So do you have another fun fact you want to share?
Oh man. Well, we know that I like documenting processes and stuff, but I'm very meticulous about my own life of documenting like all of my wins. I have like this little thing on Notion. I need to share that too. It's called a time capsule. So I spend a lot of my time like documenting my own personal life on this like time capsule thing. So that when I'm 10 years older, I'll be opening them up like every month and I'll get to see like, oh, not 20-year-old in this month and see how far I came. So I love like time stuff and
wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that idea.
You have
Fun
to show
fact.
me, yeah.
Yeah,
It
I'll
sounds
have
like
to show
something
you.
Brooke would like, our daughter. I feel
Yeah.
like she's currently got like a bullet journal that she's creating.
So
Yeah,
you said
I'll
it,
share
so
that. That's on Notion, so I can share. I have so many things on Notion that I'll eventually have
Sounds
to.
awesome. I'd love to see how you do that.
Yeah.
Great idea.
so
All right.
time capsule means you can't open it until 10 years.
No, first of all, I need to create something where it's like that, like
Yeah.
some sort of business where it's like that, but it's on Notion, so you can go back. And I have I actually do. The plan is to go back every 10 years, but I also go back every month, like when I write my new one, just to be like, oh my gosh, I had that question about this, and now I know that answer. And I was banging my head against the wall for an entire day when I shouldn't have been, because it wasn't that big of a deal. So it's fun to like kind of go back and see those things and see how you grow. But yeah,
your maturity is just like through the roof here. That's what always has impressed me, because like you just have this calmness and like you understand, like it's, I don't know, and your boundaries. I have to give you mad props. Like you will set the phone down and like take your time off, and
Yep.
then you will respond, which I'm like so impressed by, on a Monday morning. Like I'll blow up her email all weekend long, because I'm, just email. And then I'm like, I don't want to bother her. But then I realized she's not bothered.
Yeah,
She
I'm not.
literally will not work until it's time to work. And I feel like that's such a win and an advantage as an entrepreneur, because burnout, I don't know. Have you experienced burnout at all?
No, I think I did experience burnout when I was in high school, but that's when I was doing things that I wasn't passionate about.
Okay.
That's when I was doing things that I didn't care about. And so they're forcing stuff on me that I didn't want to do. And for me, that's when I feel burnout.
Okay.
But when I'm working with you guys and I'm doing the things that I love, like, and I have boundaries and I take time for myself, like I feel good.
Well, and it shows, because then you just flourish and blossom in your work. And at first I felt bad. I'm like, because I'll get a random idea on a Saturday night, we're talking real estate at 9:00, because that's what we do. And I just start, Asana. And I know that it's not bothering her, and she'll get to it when she gets to it. And I just love that, because I think that I struggle too with boundaries. So my main goal this year is to really delegate and create those boundaries.
Good.
And I'm so proud of you for at such a young age of mastering that. I think we all could do the class.
But it was even a few months ago that was super impressive. Abby's like, hey, I'm renting an Airbnb.
Yeah.
I'm going away to this really sweet place in the mountains.
Yeah, I was like in the woods. I like the serene places.
Completely by yourself.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to be away, so don't bother me on any electronic stuff, because I'm not going to be getting to it. And I'm going on a thing by myself. And I'm like, okay, she's got to be meeting somebody there, or she's really going to somewhere else, but she's trying to not tell mom and dad or something. The girl's just legit no, I'm going to the woods in this Airbnb. I'm chilling for 5 days by myself.
Yep.
She needs some alone time. So she's excellent at creating time boundaries, of blocking out time once again. And this is where I think that honestly, and I'll be open with you, this is where I probably struggle the most. I can't tell you, I'm looking at the CRM, and the reason why I could even prove it, I took screenshots of conversations and I'm showing this to the team. It's 3:48 in the morning. What am I doing in the damn CRM looking at sellers' conversations at 3:48 in the morning? I'm terrible. So I'd love to tell y'all oh yeah, I do all the things Joe does. Don't do some of the things I do. Because I love to work, and it gets to the point where I don't get burnout, but it turns into obsession, almost in not a bad way, but sometimes I just don't even know how to turn it off. To where Abby's my phone's going down.
Yep.
I'm going in the woods. Don't bother me. I'll be back in 5 days.
Which is what's so impressive too, because I don't know, I feel like, and maybe it's just a younger generation, but the younger people that we hire, they really aren't, I don't know, you guys aren't really obsessed with social media. You like tech,
Yeah.
but it's we love you on social media, but you're just kind of no.
Yeah. Eventually I will say there will be a social media in my future. But currently I'm a little underground and plotting and planning, and it'll get there.
We've been talking to you 2 years about this stuff. I'm like, my God, Abby, you are the most hidden, amazing secret.
Yeah.
How many 19-year-olds have closed as many deals have you done? You're not even bragging. You should just share what you've done, because it's amazing. And she's like, yeah, I know. Not going to though. I'm okay. Because the girl's absolutely amazing.
Got something up her sleeve.
I'm plotting and
I know.
planning.
I know. It's all in due time, and that's what's awesome.
So so many morals to this interview here, but definitely, be on the lookout for people that you could, have join your team, help you out, because, no matter what stage you're in, there's someone else who could benefit from learning from you. And I think that's something that we all, could take for granted. If you've done one deal, you've done one more than maybe someone who hasn't, who has that aspiration to be able to do it. So networking, abundance mindset, really knowing that there's enough for everybody out there, and how can everybody win? I can't preach that enough, because it's really, really disheartening when I've been reaching out to people too, and just trying to network and connect. And it's all, well, what's in it for me? Well, of course there's something in it for you, right? Like I feel like if we could just continue to share that, like there's so much out there, and that there's no way Joe and I can talk to every seller in Florida, even if we like spend all day, all night on CRMs.
There's not enough time in a lifetime to do all that.
No. And everybody can bring something valuable to the team, to a team. And a team could be just you and one other person. It could be you and your attorneys at first, your contractor. But that team mindset has always been huge to Joe and I. So Abby, thank you so much for being a part of it.
No, you're welcome. Thank you guys. You guys are amazing.
Any other questions? Thanks for being here, Barb and Cass, Kat. We've had some people popping in. I know some folks have been asking before, like, how do I build a team, all that structure. So if you have any questions for Abby, you're welcome, Julie.
You know what? I thought it would be kind of fun too. I want to spill the beans on something I haven't even shared with you guys yet, but I want to pick your brain on something.
Okay.
So we are having basically a smaller creative finance mastermind down here right now in Florida. We got Abby here. We got Lexi, who's our acquisition. We got Luca, our disposition. We have Kat here, who's absolutely amazing. We're going to have some of our good friends and some of our students, Mike and Jay, fly in from Philadelphia. They're going to be here tomorrow. So what I would thought is what I would like to do is go live on YouTube, do a YouTube exclusive where we just go live. Maybe it's for a half an hour, one day, where you're going to see us all outside talking about real estate stuff. Okay. So I would type in the comments below if you're hopefully already following us on Creative Finance Playbook on YouTube. If you're not, you need to like and subscribe, because we are dropping some amazing stuff on there. But Creative Finance Playbook, what I'd like to do is do a live pop-in to where they're going to see all of us together working on stuff. And it could be processes. It could be me or Mike or somebody on a seller call. It could be Luca locking up another deal, because let me tell you, another one who's on our team, guys, another hidden secret. And some of you, we got to talk about Lexi, because the girl's absolutely amazing on our acquisition too. Luca joined our team a couple of weeks ago, is displaying like crazy. He's 18 years old. He's definitely interested in real estate. He's motivated, great attitude, hardworking young man, 18 years old. First week on the job, already disposed one deal. Looks like he's got the second one from what he's texting me right now. And we're working on the third one, guys. So, I mean, he's only been on for a couple of weeks and he's already doing amazing things. So once again, it's not an age thing. It's plopping somebody into a system that works, that you have a good attitude, that you're coachable, right? So if you have a good attitude and you're coachable, and then you stick to these processes that work, success is yours. And, it doesn't have to be in your 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s. There's no age limit to it. My daughter's 10. My son is 8. These two will be on the CRM in a couple of years. The only reason why they don't do it now is because some of y'all sellers say some wild stuff.
And they send some terrible pictures.
Yeah.
So when they get a little bit older, but I want them talking to sellers, right? I want them understanding what's going on, and they're all about the business. And both of our kids have been in real estate forever. So I'm not going to have to wait till they're old to get them in this. And they're going to be young doing deals too. So, and if you think you're older, don't worry about an age. There's no good time or bad time to get started. It's just now's the time. Right. So if you've done one deal and you're looking to do more deals, you really need to study up on this creative finance stuff, especially right now. And if it's not us, that's fine. There's a lot of other great educators out there, but either way, if you're going to do it, I'm always a big proponent of spending some money, finding people, first of all, who are doing deals aligned with the goals that you're trying to accomplish. If I'm trying to be a big commercial conglomerate real estate investor, don't sign up with Joe and Jenn. right? Because there's way better people who are going to teach you that kind of stuff. If you want to learn about creative stuff, there's a lot of good people in the space. A lot of them, some of them are smoke and mirrors and they're just talk about it. And there's a handful who are actually the doers. So we're not a guru. We are what we were told we were called. We were crowned this by another investors. We were gurus. And a guru is like a guru, but the gurus are the ones still doing the business, not just coaching you on how to do it. Because a lot of the things that they coach you on are, some of them get to be a little outdated. Not saying that they don't work, but sometimes there's better, newer things that will help you in your business, right? So being a guru means that we're doing the business and sharing with you what's currently working. If you ever listen to what we share here, a lot of the deals that we're talking about are deals that we're doing right now. So when anybody says, hey, Joe, give me a scenario of a deal, like here's a deal that we locked up just now. Tomorrow, I'm on a call for a house in Connecticut. If any of you are looking for a house just north of Hartford in Connecticut, we should be locking up a deal tomorrow. And it's going to be a sweet deal. And it's got a heck of a story. I'm not sharing it yet till it's locked up, but I tell you, it's got a cool story. Actress owns the house, some cool stuff. I have another one that we should be locking up outside of Dallas, Texas. Cool story will come along with that one too. A turnkey house that I think is 2 years old, like needs nothing. So we're going to share with you currently how we're finding these deals, how we're making them, the conversations that we're having and things like that. So if you really want to dive in depth, this is where I'm always a big proponent of the success in the small details. And you're not going to find that on YouTube. You'll find a lot of the stuff, but you're not going to find the hand holding through YouTube. And I would say the biggest thing that's made the difference is the hand holding. This is why we could get somebody with no experience, fresh out of school, high school or college, who have got no experience in this, and they're able to make deals. Lexi is our acquisitionist. She didn't have any real estate experience. And I was just kind of joking with her this morning because she had a deal that she was working on. I said, okay, what would happen here? And it took her a minute. And then she's like, oh, that's right. I never would have thought of that. But I was like, you've only been doing it for a few months. It's like beginning of December. You didn't even know what Zillow was. And now she's turning deals. I mean, she's talking to a ton of sellers. She's the one that we got the first deal, which is in Colorado, that we just did. And she just got me on another closing call and she keeps working. So it's the same thing of getting somebody into the process and getting that hand holding. So when we talk about the creativefinanceplaybook.com, we share all this stuff on there. We share this on YouTube, but we also have a lot of specialized knowledge that go into some of our master classes, that go into the Creative Finance Playbook itself, which has been years in the making, decades in experience, and learning from some of the very, very best in the business, spending the money with them, learning all the stuff that they teach, right? So decades in the business, learning from some of the best in the industry, and kind of putting that together with a new techie side to it that's easy to manage with some great processes that we learn from the process people. Like if you want to go spend some money, Susan and Gary Harper are fantastic. They're going to sit down with you and go over processes and things like that, but they ain't cheap, right? They ain't cheap. They're not going to be talking a whole about real estate. They're going to be talking about when this happens, what happens next type stuff for months. And that's what that's like. So we've learned from real estate people. We've learned from process people. We've learned from marketing people, tech people, and this is why we love to do. So the Creative Finance Playbook itself that we're designed for you guys is a wealth of all of that bundled up to where you're going to be able to learn all of this in easy bite-sized modules. So if this is something that you want to learn more about and get into specialized knowledge, getting that hand held through the processes, getting some of these questions that you were kind of just wondering, how do I put this together? It's all in there. Our scripts, our agreements, all the sandwich leases and all the other cool stuff that we do, it's all in there, guys. So if you're willing to look for one bundle to where you can get it all, the Creative Finance Playbook is still a steal because we still have it at our rock bottom price. But it's going to go up. There's a time ticker on it. So if you are looking to get it, definitely reach out to Jen. Don't reach out to me because I probably will be busy. But reach out, and I'm just being honest. But reach out to Jen or send us a message. We'd love to talk more about it, see if it's a good fit for you. And if it is, I will tell you this is going to be life-changing for you. And this is why we didn't bring Abby on to talk about the Creative Finance Playbook as much. But what we did do is show that, hey, I'm nothing special. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. And then what we've proved is, yeah, we've got a lot of other people that do it too, based on the same things that have been working. And this is the fun thing about real estate, is giving back and sharing with you guys that if you don't have very much money, because when I got started, I was dead broke. I had bad credit. I was broke. I was 22 years old. And I was just lucky enough to get a small course with a VCR tape and a book and a couple audio cassettes. Now technology has gotten so much better. You can talk to us and see us here on a Tuesday afternoon, right? So there's a lot of great things that we are bundling together in this Creative Finance Playbook that will be life-changing for you guys. So if you want to learn more about wholesaling, it's all in there too. But where we dive deep is the creative finance, because the difference is this is, and I've said this before, if you're just looking at cash deals, a cash deal is black and white. It's the price. It's the price. It's the price. It's the price. Either that price works or it doesn't work. And then we look at with creative finance, what does that look like? It's like a whole spectrum of opportunities of different colors, different ways to structure a deal. Well, I can move this, I can make this lower. I can move so many different variables. It is not black and white. It is full spectrum of colors. And some of these colors, guys, you won't see them until you put on the special glasses. Well, that's what that creative finance playbook is. It's putting on that special glasses to get you out of that black and white vision to see all the different colors. And what that means is all the different ways to structure a deal. Am I doing it on a wrap mortgage? Am I doing it on a sandwich lease purchase? Am I doing it on a contract for deed? Why am I doing it this way? What way am I dispoing this deal? Why am I doing it this way? Right? All the different variables that will make sense. A seller wants a lot of money down. Well, here's some strategies that work for that. And normally we say no, right? But there's other ways that you can still structure that deal and make that deal work for you and a seller. And the art of the deal making, and that's really where the success is. We teach you how to get leads. We teach you how to get leads for free. You don't even need to spend money on leads. We'll actually try to talk you out of spending money on leads until you really get a good grasp of what it is. And then when you want to, we tell you the secret sauce of how to get them. And we get them for a lower cost than 99% of the investors out there, if you got to pay money, with some of the social media stuff that we do. So a lot of it that we've been doing for a very long time, it's all in there. Does your knowledge apply to deals in Canada? Yes, it does, with some small varied. Some they call it what? Seller take back in Canada. Vendor take back. Versus creative finance, you're still going to structure the deal the same way, guys. There's a purchase price, there's a monthly payment, there's an interest rate, there's a term length, there's a down payment if necessary. You're talking to a seller about buying their house, right? A comp is a comp, repairs are repairs, and cash flow is cash flow. And I always look at, no matter what's our cash on cash return. If I have to shell out 25 grand for this deal for adding up my cost of acquisition, with our system that we imply, I like to get that back in a few months, the full amount, if not more. And then once I do, what's my monthly cash flow? So that's how I love these infinite cash returns. Those are our favorite deals, guys. So it works in Canada, definitely works in the US. There's going to be some small variance differences. So we always say, for the technical stuff, always consult an attorney. Doesn't matter if you're in the US, Canada, doesn't matter where you are. Find a local attorney that you could talk to, and to make sure that you're crossing all the T's, dotting the I's. Now, with our agreements, you might want to take that to your local attorney, and they want to look it over, right? And there might be one or two small things they change. You don't have to, but they might want to. And if there's in Canada, there might be a couple small things they want to change, but we give you all the stuff, guys. The scripts, they don't need to change. But the agreements themselves, they might want to make a small change, and that's a good thing. Do we acquire deals from wholesalers? Is a question. With our marketing, I don't.
But you could if you are looking for creative deals.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. So we did have a wholesaler reach out to us. He's a wholesaler, cash guy, friend of mine, because we became friends through this. And he says, I have somebody where the numbers just don't make sense. They owe too much on the house. They need to sell because they're moving. The numbers don't work for a cash deal, and the house is way too nice. And if you go to our 585 rent-to-own.com, the house is on there because we bought it. We bought it on terms. I paid a wholesaler $5,000 finder's fee for that deal. And then what we do, we put in a tenant buyer that we got like 20 grand down on. So yeah, we do work with wholesalers. And the way I love connecting with wholesalers are, do you ever work with a seller who really, really wants to sell, but just owes way too much money in the house and you guys can't make the numbers work? Yeah, those are the leads I'm looking for that I really do well with. And if you have any of those, and they'll usually say, okay, good, I got it. The next question is, that I always ask is, do you have any of those that you're currently working on? So you want to get a nugget, guys? If I'm talking to a realtor and I'm talking to them about terms on one of maybe their listings, and no, this isn't working this deal because of this. Okay, great. Well, these are the kind of deals I'm looking for. And I explain to the realtor. And that's what everybody does. A lot of us do. Okay, great. And they usually, that's where they hang up the phone. But I also take it a step further, say, do you have any of these that you're currently working on that fit this description? And you'd be shocked how many times you know what, as a matter of fact, I do. And all of a sudden they had an idea. And the more of these connections you do, guys, the better off you'll be. I have seller financing. I have seller financing to me. I lease option, call me, phone number. I'll write down that number. I have a contract for a smart coach. Need a Florida lawyer who gets paid from escrow, not only up front. Yeah, we could definitely connect you with the lawyer if that's what you're looking for, Cliff, or two. We have a few that we use down here, fantastic in Florida. We're pretty darn good at this stuff. If you want, shoot me or Jen a DM too, and we could definitely connect with you. Love to see if we can help you out. Yeah, you want to unmute your mic? Go for it. Come on down. You're the next contestant.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
How you doing?
Doing well. About yourself?
Pretty good. I love you guys. You look like very happy people.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I'll tell you
I'm
what,
in-
it's like 80 degrees almost today. I don't know how, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's sunny outside. So I don't know how you cannot be happy down here.
Kids are about to have.
I'm in Miami also.
Oh, you
And
good.
I'm in my little green screen. I kind of just woke up, so I probably look awful over here. But if you look out here, you can see those palm trees.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Spoils you down here.
So I love Miami too. So my question is, I'm a financial advisor. I'm with Royal Fund Management. We have $1 billion under management. I used to be a stockbroker at Merrill Lynch and all that, and I got really bored. And then I produced a couple Hollywood movies, bought a modeling agency and whatever. So now I'm back in Miami, and I'm trying to do my first lease option to buy deal. I got a guy. I called Fizbos with a cold caller from Russia, and off a list I got from Scraping Solutions for like $50, 5,000 names. And I got, after 3 days of calling, this guy, this friend of mine who was a caller over there. I used to own a big modeling agency in Russia, the biggest in the whole country. And he got me this house in Pensacola. It's 553,000. The guy can't sell it. It seems like houses between 5 to 600K can't find buyers in Florida in certain markets.
Yeah, Pensacola's a little different area.
Yeah. And he offered, I tried to do the lease option, and then he wanted 17,000 down. He wanted 30,000 above the Zestimate, and he wanted rent about 400 below the Zestimate rent. But if you add in the PITI, it's maybe close to break even. So then he said, why don't you seller finance this? 4% interest, give me 570. The house is really worth 448. And he wants 4% interest, but he wants 15% down. So I was thinking of buying it with like a 30, 60-day close. And then I found a realtor in Pensacola who does seller financing deals. He says he might have a doctor who's got bad credit because he bought too many properties or something like that. And then I talked to a mortgage broker for buyers. And then I also talked to Nat Processing, who does a blast like 17 websites for like $100. And then I was going to put it on Facebook Marketplace. But I figured if I buy it with the seller financing deal, the problem is the guy wants 87,000 down. But if I get 110,000 down, I'll make part of the cut right there. And then the spread is better because I pay $2,500 a month instead of more closer to the Zestimate. So I got more like maybe a $500-600 spread on the rent. And I actually own the house. So if somebody puts that kind of money down and then they back out in 3 years, it's almost like they made my down payment. So I'm trying to decide, should I go the lease option to buy way, or should I do the seller financing way and get somebody else, do a double close and get somebody else to come up with this 15% down payment?
So I'll be quite honest with you, with coming up with a 15% down, we do rent to own and seller finance. We've been doing it for a long time. 15% down is going to be a challenge, especially in that area. Not saying it's impossible, but you're really trying to bank on somebody giving you close to 100 grand down.
Yeah.
Right. Which is tough. So what I do is I tell folks, like, if I'm going to buy it on a lease purchase, I typically buy with no money down because I'm leasing the house. Right.
I tried
Now,
that. He won't do any. He's kind of a jerk, this guy.
why is he selling the house?
He moved back to Memphis from Pensacola. He's a pilot. He's 72. His daughter is going to University of Memphis. He bought it. He thought they were going to be down there, and they moved.
Right. So is it vacant?
It's vacant since July. He has it like listed on one site that came up on my database. I also did expired and canceled through My Plus Leads. And the guy, so he's a bit of a jerk, and the best I could get him to, because I'm a stockbroker, so I know how to do sales. The best I could get him to was either 17,000 upfront for the lease option to buy, at 570 when the house is worth 548, and then 3-year, 3,000 rent in a 3,400 rent market, or seller finance 15% down, 4% interest rate, and I can do whatever I want, he says. So I was thinking of doing, I don't know.
I would tell you what I would do.
What would you do?
I would write it up. And this would be what we call an X deal, where I'd be assigning this contract. I'd write it up as a lease purchase at his 500 price, whatever price he wants. Would try to get that down payment as low as possible and just keep grinding that number down. Say, hey, listen, if I'm going to pay you $3,000 for rent, my agreement's going to be a little different. I'm responsible for all the maintenance, all of the repairs, all utilities. I get a leaky faucet. I don't bother you. I call a plumber. So if I'm going to be paying $3,000 a month for rent, which I think is a little high because that's not giving me much room, I need to get that down payment a little lower. Maybe you get them to 15 grand, let's just say hypothetically. I would write up the agreement and I would let him know that you're not going to be the one closing on the property and that you're going to be bringing in a tenant buyer who are going to take over these terms, give him his 15 grand. They might pay you a small finder's fee, but that's about it. And then what I would do is I would write that deal up and I would now bring that to the market. And I would try to find somebody, instead of trying to find somebody who's got 100 grand down, which is going to be really, really hard. Give me somebody who's got 30 grand down, 40 grand down on a $500,000 home. Maybe they've got 50 grand down or $40,000 down. So if they've got 40 grand down, I'm going to pay him his 15 grand and I'm going to collect a $25,000 assignment fee. And I'm out of the deal. And they're going to pay him directly rent $3,000, which is still less than what the market rent is.
So you would sell it off, almost wholesale it.
I would wholesale it. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to put down 87 grand on a deal. There's no way. That's just me personally. Number two, if I'm going to do a lease purchase and I'm not having any spread for that monthly rent, I'll leave his rent where he is, let him feel like he won there, because that's not my objective. My objective is to get his down payment lower, because that's where I'm going to make my spread. The lower I get that number, the more money I'm going to get out of my tenant buyer, the more it goes into my pocket. So I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to let you win at your $3,000 rent, which is kind of high. But where I need to get some love on my end is getting that down payment down. Can I get it closer to 10? No, I can't. Okay, let's go somewhere in the middle, like 11. No, I can't do that either, right? And then get it to 15, settle there, find somebody who's got 35, 40 grand down, scoop yours, give them his 15 grand, let them have that deal and you're out of it. That's me personally.
So in other words, I assign it to an actual tenant, not to a wholesaler who goes to a tenant.
Correct. You're going to assign it to a tenant buyer who's going to be that doctor who wants to move in the house, who's got 50 grand down, 40 grand down, who's going to pay this grumpy ass $3,000 a month while you don't have to deal with Mr. Grumpy Pants anymore, right? You collected your fee and you're not dealing with Grumpy. Because the other thing too, when I'm in these seller finance deals, these are a long-term relationship. So the other thing I didn't love is when you said he's a grumpy person. I can't imagine being with a grumpy seller for 5, 10 years or whatever the term, 3 years, whatever that looks like. Pasadena. So for me, I would love to assign that opportunity to another tenant buyer who wants that deal.
Would you put it on broker lists?
I'd put it everywhere. Zillow, Facebook, put yellow signs in the front yard. I would go to the local military bases and be like, hey, which one of you guys want to buy this house on this? I'd reach out to some realtors and be like, hey, if you could find me a tenant buyer, I'll pay you a little something and work it.
Do you know brokerless?
That you mean the flat fee listing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use that.
Wouldn't that just basically get me all to all the realtors right away? But then I lose 3% fee, right?
Or whatever you switch it to, yeah. And I don't want to pay them 3% on 500,000.
What would you offer them
A couple
if
thousand.
they brought the buyer?
And I would let them know, hey, listen, 15 grand is going to the seller. I'm going to make 25 grand if it's say 40, right? Say they bring somebody with 40, and out of that, I got to pay you something. So what's fair?
And what do you think is fair?
0. No, I don't know. I might pay him 3, 4, 5 grand, but what happens if a realtor brings in a tenant? They usually get the first month's rent or, portion of stuff like that. That's what they get. So at that point for me, they might get first month's security deposit. They might get some of that money. But for me, I rather just try to see what I can get off market. Because when we put this on Facebook and we put this on all these different social media platforms, like our DMs blow up. We had to hire somebody full time to do it all. And even when we had somebody part-time doing it, it wasn't good enough. We had to have somebody full-time 9 to 5 doing it sometimes on the weekends because there's showings on the weekends, things like that. They're all virtual. We don't have anybody there virtually. So we're displaying deals around the country doing it the same way, but we do it virtual. We'll put a lockbox in the house. They show it, through a FaceTime. So we're there with you on a FaceTime, making sure they lock it up, listening for the oohs and ahs. And I know get them an application versus, oh, I hate this place. And we know they don't like it. But those are the secret recipe right there. But for me, that's exactly what I would be doing.
So you'd have the realtor who's going to get paid that fee walk around the house on FaceTime. Because
Yeah.
I'm in Miami and they're in Pensacola.
Yeah, if that even, I would probably even either do it yourself. If you're busy, hire a realtor to go do it and say, listen, if you bring me a tenant buyer who brings X amount, give them 10% of the down payment. Of the down payment, not the selling price. So they bring 40 grand down, you give them 4 grand. Because you still got to give 15 grand to Mr. Grumpy Pants.
Okay. Can I email you the contract that I have and you tell me what you think? And do you want to get involved any farther on this?
I mean, if you need some help, let me know.
Okay, what email do I hit?
Send it to Jenn. Jenn.
JENN?
Yes. I'm trying to think of, what? Actually, if you want, go to creativefinanceplaybook.com. And there's a spot that says JV with us, and they'll go right into our CRM. It says work with us. Go to creativefinanceplaybook.com, scroll down a little bit more. There'll be a spot to enter a deal, work with us. It goes into our CRM. It's going to ask you all the stuff that we're going to need to know anyways. And then I'll have it right in front of me.
The thing is, I don't have it under contract just yet, so I don't want to give the address out until I actually have them sign the contract.
Yeah, that's understandable. Well, then at that point too, I mean, if you want to have a contract look at it, I would definitely show it to the realtor because he probably deals with a lot of that. Make sure it's something that he's cool with and that he understands. And then the seller, once again, I would try to stay on that lease option and I would try to get that down payment low. Because you might find somebody only who's got 30 grand down, right? Doesn't give you.
I called mortgage brokers
Mhm.
based on one group's recommendation. And he told me about an agent who does seller finance. So I called the agent. He said he could get a guy to buy it even with the 100K, but that he would want, originally wanted 4%. And I said of the house price, I got him down to 3. So he wanted 20K. Then I said, I'd give you half up front, 10 up front, and the other 10 on the back end when the guy actually buys the house in 3 years. And he backed out of the deal and he didn't want to bring me the buyer anymore.
That's why I love the lease purchase. You don't need 100 grand down. It'd be great. Don't get me wrong, but you put somebody into a lease purchase, you're going to find people moving to Florida, especially with the military all the time. There's groups on Facebook that got over 100,000 people in them just moving to Florida. I mean, there's 1,000 people that move here, I think, a day. So finding people from up north, part of the thing that we're doing too is when we're posting our properties, we don't just post them down here in Florida. We post a lot of northern groups too. Like, hey, do you want to move to Florida and get out of this terrible cold weather? And we do get a lot of traffic from that way too. You putting on Zillow under a rental and just put this as a rent to own only, you're going to get so much traffic from just Zillow, Facebook, Craigslist, and then yellow signs. And then me personally, I want to get a realtor involved. I would just contact some way to get involved with the military base, even putting just a bunch of signs outside of the military base, like rent to own house, bad credit, okay. And you're going to find a ton of these people who.
Is there a military base there? Is that what
Yeah.
you mean?
Yep.
Okay. And there isn't an email that I could email, because I have a contract already ready to go. I was going to have them sign it today. I just
Yeah.
wanted to send it over. Or
Yep. Then just do, what's our one, Abby? Do you want to drop it in the comments?
you probably want to copy this one too, because it's from a really good group, and it might have something in there that's useful for you.
I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, we have one that
It's
We've
Smart
had
Real
our-
Estate Coach. They're pretty good.
cool. There we go. Yeah. Thank you, Abby.
All right, this one.
You could do that one too. It needs an S.
Where do you guys live in Florida?
We are in the Tampa area.
I used to work for Merrill Lynch in St. Petersburg, Florida when I was
Wait,
22,
Oh yeah.
36 years ago.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful down here. We came from
Yeah, I'm probably going to move back there from Miami. Miami's getting a little out of hand,
I keep
lately.
hearing that. It's been 20 years since
It's
I've been to
it's
Miami.
getting rougher. It's getting rougher
Well, it's beautiful here.
and crowded.
Well, that's
And I don't speak Spanish very well. That too. It's becoming like Little Columbia or something like that,
Yeah,
which is fun. But I'm going to go to Columbia if I want that.
I don't.
So
Awesome.
what's the email?
We put them right in the comments, right below
Oh.
in the chat box. So you have them
Do
both down
the-
there.
Do the Jen buys app
Here.
one. Oh.
Thanks so much for your help.
Yeah, no problem. But once again, guys, I have a seller that I just talked to. He's got a house here in Tampa. He's okay with seller financing. His interest rate's crazy low. He already bought his next home. He's 81 years old. He wants 330 for his property. He owes 220 on it. And he comes right out and says, I don't have any issue with the seller financing. I am okay with that. My only challenge is I need my 110 grand. And I said, well, John, because I pay just about more money than anybody else would for the property, and I buy it as is and I cover all the closing costs, I typically buy with no money down. So if I were to give you a small down payment, what's the least you would need to make this work for you? He's like, I really need my 100 grand. I said, can't do that. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't make sense. I said, what if I were to give you like, say 10 or 15 grand down, and then we come up, well, I'll pay you the rest of it in a lump sum down the road. He says the same thing, where I really want my 110 grand. I said, what happens if this house doesn't sell because it's sitting on the market, just not selling? And he says, I don't know. The house is empty. It's been empty for months now. So this is the challenge of what we're having is we'll have sellers who want big down payments, but I typically buy with no money down, because when I buy with no money down, it's not really no money. You need closing costs. You need insurance policy. You need 3 months worth of payments, usually minimum. You need this whole thing that we have where we write up the cost of acquisition. So when I'm putting a down payment on top of that, that really cuts into the deal. And if your cost of acquisition gets to be too high, cancel the deal. I've got another one right now. He's okay with seller financing. He has a house he wants 175 for, but he wants $107,000 down. I go to our acquisitionist Lexi, and she was like, yeah, that's too much money down. We typically buy with no money down. And I've had people before say they need $90,000 and take 5, take 10, take 15. So even if they need a big number down, I even ask them, like, what do you plan on doing with this money? Are you planning on like using it for something? And they'll usually tell you, I'm paying off my credit card, or I'm paying off my car. So one deal I'm trying to structure is I have a guy who wants to do the deal, but he wants to use his equity to pay off his car. I said, well, what's your car payment? What if I just were to make the car payment and send it to you and some of your equity to match what your car payment is? So essentially, I am paying off your car, but not at one lump sum. I'm going to do it every month. Well, I'm also paying off your house too that I'm going to be buying. So it's just trying to find out what they're using the money for, because sometimes they have a goal for it. Sometimes they just want it, and I get it. Sometimes they might want to be paying off a car loan because they don't want their $350 payment. Well, if their payment's 1,400, which this one is, and I could add a 350 payment on top of that, my PITI is still under $2,000 and the property rents for 2,800. So I don't want to come up with 30 grand or 20, whatever the number is, to pay off their old car loan when the interest rate's probably really low on that either, or probably still really low on that too. So it's just finding out what their purpose is with that money is really helpful. Cool. Thank you for that. Any other questions we have other than that? If not, gang, I got some seller calls to do. And it is beautiful outside, and I'm sure all of us want to go out there and get our tan on, right? And get some work done. We got the whole team here today, so we are having a good old day.
So thank you again, Abby, for joining us, not only in Florida in person, but also being a part of our team. And if you guys have any questions, you can just add Abby, link in the Creative Finance group. She is the one who's truly behind the scenes. You don't see her often, but she is making it all happen, making sure we're coming to you every Tuesday, putting it up on YouTube, and again, helping us create that course at creativefinanceplaybook.com. So we will be here next week. We're going to talk about when you should hire and how to be hiring. It's one of our favorite topics. And how do you find yourself an Abby? So come back next week live at 2 p.m. Eastern. And again, like and subscribe our YouTube channel. So excited, and stay tuned. Maybe Thursday, Friday, we'll be coming live on YouTube.
And let's figure the day that we are going to come live and live too. Stay tuned in the group. Some of you don't get grumpy. We'll probably at everybody, let you know what's going to happen.
And everybody, like every day for real this time.
Well, there's always the one guy,
There's always one guy.
and he's always grumpy about it. But meanwhile, like if you,
It's always like later too. Isn't that when I did it? It's like 8 hours later. So around 8 p.m. he'll be yelling at me.
well, that notification obviously triggered him, honey, for some reason. And I get a million of those, like you were
Yeah.
mentioned in the comment.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Abby will share her templates, and stay tuned for more, guys. We are just getting started. The month of March, we have more interviews lined up. So make sure you have your schedule set 2 p.m. Eastern Tuesdays, or subscribe on YouTube.
Creative Finance Playbook, guys, on YouTube, and
Okay.
creativefinanceplaybook.com for more stuff too. We'll see you there.
Bye, guys.
See ya.